I Love Black People Radio on HUR Voices, Sirius XM, Channel 141. I Love Black People is more than a radio show. I Love Black People is a call from our ancestors to protect us from racial profiling all across the world. Go to iloveblackpeople.com and become a member today. Membership empowers you to live fearlessly and protect Black people globally from racism and xenophobia. Join us today and become a member of our global network with an online global green book with Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses to protect you and your community. Membership is free, and with you, we will become 10 million strong worldwide. I am because we are. Special thanks to AFLAC for supporting I Love Black People Radio.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of I Love Black People. Just appreciate everyone coming out and enjoying this journey that we as a people have been on and will continue to be on with all the energy and strength of our ancestors. Today, we're going to really tackle some of the things that we've been doing to try to increase the amount of safety and security around the lives of our people. As you know, I'm co-founder of I Love Black People as a startup, and more than just a radio show, more than just a slogan. Our purpose is to protect Black people from racism and xenophobia. And we do that by leveraging something that was created by a Victor Green back in the 30s and all the way up to the 1960s. And that was the original Green Book. And what we've done is taken that and digitized it and actually focused on additional areas of key people activity that are critical, especially when you're in your most vulnerable situations. And we say that because most of the people who dealt with the Green Book, if they saw the movie, the Green Book, there's a lot of misinformation. And one of those things is that some people think it's about turning the dollar over in the Black community. And somehow there's a Black capitalist model where if some business people get enough money, it will change the situation that our people find ourselves in. But that's really not our focus. Our focus is no matter how much money you have in your pocket, we're priceless. And that level of protection and safety that we deserve doesn't come from a pocketbook, a bank account, or even from the United States. Our approach is global, and we know that we all come from the one source that created us, and that is something that we cherish and understand in a way that makes us really focus on the individuals who are definitely in need of in their hours of difficulty. So when you look at I Love Black People as a startup, we have an app that you can download on iOS, the Apple Store, as well as if you still are using Android. And again, I'm not knocking Android use, Google Play. It allows you an opportunity to recommend safe, Black-friendly businesses. And we say that because at the end of the day, our focus is making sure you, the listener, you, the brothers and sisters who are anywhere in the world, that you have access to safe spaces, so you're not harmed or humiliated from racism or xenophobia. And one of the things that we did was expand the original Green Book from focusing on places to stay, hotels and whatnot, and places to eat, restaurants, as well as travel, transportation. We've extended it into healthcare, finance, legal, beauty, childcare/education. And our focus is on these 8 categories in order to make sure that these are areas where if you get the answer wrong, it could actually cause you a lot of grief. We don't have carpenters, or we don't have your cable guy. Those aren't the things. Or if the cable guy is racist, it's probably not going to have the same. And I should use a gender neutral. Your cable person is racist, then that's probably not going to cause you as much grief. But if your doctor is, if your lawyer is, these are areas where when you're vulnerable, these are very key. And a lot of it, what we've developed really was impacted by the pandemic. Up until the pandemic, we saw travel as the key area that we needed to be protected. And what we realized is travel is just one form of vulnerability. When you're traveling into new places, You don't know anyone. So that makes you vulnerable. Well, if you're sick and you with a disease that might be a pandemic, that makes you vulnerable. If you've been apprehended by law enforcement agencies that have accused you of things that you didn't do, you're vulnerable. So what we've realized is that travel is just one vulnerability that we need protection. And that's when we need the most critical information. And what we tell our people is that, in order to make good decisions, you need good information. And good information includes timely, relevant, and accurate information. So in order to make that good decision, you need good information, accurate, relevant, timely. And with our platform, we're leveraging the information that our members recommend in order to give you a pathway throughout the world where you can live fearlessly. And I say membership is free. We have people, literally over 100,000 members who joined us in this pursuit in first time in history of a global safety net. So we make sure that at the end of the day that we have as many folks helping who are interested in protecting our people. And then the use of the information is free. We would never charge Black folks to be safe. With that being said, we also have a paid membership where we call Prime members who actually are supporting the efforts of this movement through our startup to make sure that Black people are protected throughout the world. And if you are interested in supporting that, definitely go to iloveblackpeople.com and you'll see our Prime membership page, and go ahead and actually contribute and support the work that we're doing. I think it's key that that even the work we do on air, the work that we're doing in communities all over the world, requires support. It requires contributions. And as a startup, we've raised money in the venture capital space. But let's be clear, the same racism that you see in areas throughout the country and throughout the United States and throughout the world, that same racism exists in Silicon Valley. And if you look at the numbers of Black-led startups that actually receive funding, the number stays around 1%. And I would say with the time I've spent, and I've met some nice people there, but it's really, it's the same, setting that you see on the East Coast or any other business arena where capital is being, heavily sought after. It's not based on merit. One of the things I thought when I went out to Silicon Valley was that, the people there would be, unusually brilliant, and that they would have, ability to see through walls in a way and see the future. And what I discovered was that the Silicon Valley is amazing. So let's just be clear. It's not a place that's easily duplicated, but unfortunately, there's a virus in the United States that's propagated really all over the world. And that virus, you talk about software having viruses, that virus is racism, white supremacist ideology. So you still see the same discounting of Black founders and a premium placed on Europeans in Silicon Valley, as you see in Wall Street, as you see in many of the other industries that we know about, how there's a disparity in treatment. And that disparity in treatment impacts the funding of amazing founders. Some of the most brilliant people I've met have never been funded. So we have to come up with alternatives. We don't, I think as a people, we've been very resourceful, dealing with these systems that have been trying to kill us and harm us and destroy, and literally have destroyed our communities, to be still here, to still, running touchdowns and singing songs and flying it through the sky and all the things that we do that are just amazing. It comes from an indelible spirit, and that spirit is the same spirit that allows us in the Silicon Valley space, those startups, those Black founders that continue to move forward. With that being said, we all need your support. One of the things that we do every year is a thing called a Black Blockchain Summit, because much of the work in startup space that we've done has started off with the whole blockchain and using this decentralized technology. And again, that was another arena where literally they would talk about disadvantage and people needing access to new systems and underbanked. And they would talk about, Black communities as well as underserved communities, but yet they never had underserved or Black people involved in any of the activities that they were participating in. So I think it's very important that as we, talk about these spaces not being safe or these spaces not being friendly, that we create the spaces that we want to live in. We make sure that we make sure we do the spaces that are important, that we need to make sure that we need everything that we do to be the thing that is important to us. That is very important that we take the time to build and support those communities that support us. And so with our activities, we make sure that we connect every day in as many ways as possible to the community that we serve and protect, unlike the police do. So our focus is that making sure that we in this space called I Love Black People create a place of safety net, of a place of where you can go and not experience or suffer the humiliation of the disrespect that we often are confronted with. And I think one of the things that we do with our members is that, you know what, you're busy. Everyone has a full schedule, so much to do. Just take some time out and recommend one of your favorite places. It's really something that we do already. I went to Howard University. I went to Tuskegee. A member of fraternity. All these things give me access to groups of people who've been very amazing in my life. And those people have actually made it so that when I go and travel personally, there's always, less than 6 degrees, 3 degrees separation. I know someone. But what about the people who don't have that type of background? Our people still deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So it's one of those things where it's about leveraging the actual resources that we currently have in ourselves. And our wealth is not, again, it's not in the wallet or the bank. Again, I'm not saying being broke is what we're advocating. I'm saying the richness of our relationships is our focus. And even in business, the things that I've done in business, it wouldn't be possible without friends and family. Things I've done politically. If it wasn't for steadfast friends and family being supportive, none of these things would have been possible. And I think that's one of the things I noticed, and even in Silicon Valley and some of these places of some of these most elite places, I was trying to find a common denominator of what made these people successful. And all of it came down to relationship. Many of these folks that I've seen successful didn't even finish college, so it couldn't have been a degree. And many of these folks, again, they did it. And if it was a class they took, let's all take that class. But most of it, when you start peeling back the layers, they actually got an opportunity through a friend, through a relative. Somebody gave them an opportunity. And I think, again, they say that ability has been spread all over the world, but opportunities have not. And in this system of white supremacy and ideology, even you'll have Black folks acting as gatekeepers that will prevent other Black folks from having access to opportunities. So again, I think it's important that we stress the impact of relationships. And that's what we use with I Love Black People. Your relationships have helped you identify key places where you can go and be fearless in your movements and feel good about yourself. Share that information. If you're in Washington, D.C., I know some great places you can go. And we tell people, even if it's food, whatever it is, the bottom line is we want to make sure that it's clear that our people deserve the best treatment, and that no matter where they are, what the situation is, we need to be treated with the dignity and respect that we were born into this world deserving. So those are the things that we leverage when we talk about I Love Black People. And again, it's I Love Black People Safe Spaces. That's the app. And another thing that we're doing to help leverage this in the space that we're dealing in is that even with some of these businesses, large companies, we're looking at the employment resource groups they have. Many of these companies, large companies, have different spaces that they've created based on gender, based on sexual orientations, based on race, where they try to be supportive of their employees and meet their very particular needs. And again, we see leveraging uh, our platform as another way, as a solution to make sure that when these companies have employees that have to relocate, or if they're going on a business trip, bring along, what we developed is called the Green Book API. And they can bring the Green Book API with them and leverage that as a resource to make sure that no matter where they go, they can live fearlessly, because they have access to what? Good information. And good information allows you to make what? Good decisions. So making sure that we give our people that in their pocket, so that no matter where they go, they have access to it, is key. So this is something that you definitely be on the lookout for. And you can definitely go to greenbookapi.com. That's our website that we've developed in order to, I guess it's like an enterprise approach, where we're looking at businesses that want to make sure that their employees have access to information that's giving them opportunities to make sure that they're treated well. And we call it human resources. Now, I don't think objectifying human beings is probably the way to say it. But again, when you have employees, you don't want your employees to be harassed. That's going to directly impact their ability on the job. You don't want something misfortunate to happen to your employees. So again, leveraging these resources, we see this as something that actually helps everyone and will benefit in ways that it will give people, again, the opportunity to use good information to make good decisions. So we're looking at the Green Book API as the avenue on a business level, we call B2B, as a way you look at the app, is that we have more of a business to consumer engagement marketing. And the Green Book API, we see that as more of a business to business. So if you're literally someone who's in HR or working in employee relationships, relations in any way to improve the quality of life of the employees that are currently working for your company, definitely check out the Green Book API, and definitely love to allow you to use that to increase the quality of life of your employees, no matter where they go, for whatever reason it is. We want to make sure that they're safe. So these are some of the things that we're really developing, pushing. And then, of course, we're global. So, the work that we're doing, it's 1.5 billion people of African descent throughout the world. If you look at European descent, you're looking around 600 to 800 million. So we're looking at a group of people about the size of China. It's just that as a market or as a group, we've been fractured and separated, but literally we often face some of the same issues no matter where we are. So we're looking at not just again the United States, but you could be traveling for some reason or be in, let's say, Denmark. You get sick and you need to identify a non-racist doctor in Copenhagen. That's going to be hard to Google that. So and all the AI that they're coming out with, they talk about AI, unless we get more of our brothers and sisters producing the AI, it's going to be hard for you to get good information telling you who's non-racist doctor. But what we've already done without AI is we've used, again, the old school resources. We have members that have lived in Copenhagen, that live in Copenhagen, and those are the people who are recommending the doctors. So there might be a Mongolian woman doctor in Copenhagen that all the Black folks go to because she's amazing. Remember, the focus is Black people being protected, but the solution is diverse. There are people from all walks of life who understand that humanity truly doesn't have any color, and that all of us deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And those are the places that, again, we want to support. Those are the places where, when we're talking about spending money, you don't want to spend your money financing races. You know what I'm saying? So literally leveraging your funds is probably one of the most powerful ways where you can, again, validate the way a particular company treats people. And let's be clear again, I talked about, we're all priceless. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your pocket, but I keep coming back to Black friendly businesses or recommending businesses. The reason why we focus on businesses, because oftentimes, unlike other public spaces or what have you, businesses can dictate what type of environment they choose to have. And we think that that's something that, since it's a deliberate thing, that we can actually say, look, we'll identify these places that have the level of control and commitment by their owners or their proprietors to make sure that our people are treated well. And our focus is, again, on physical places. I know so much is digital, and again, being in a tech startup, but we live in a real world. People talk about the metaverse, and I think it's important in the work that we've done in decentralized and blockchain. I think is important for that. But literally, we still live in a physical world that has physical consequences. And if we don't deal with that properly, the metaverse will be the last thing we're going to have to worry about. So as we think about how we address the issues that we're faced, we should prioritize the things that make the most impact on our communities. And when we look at that, the physical presence that we have still is vulnerable and still is under attack. And we need to make sure that we do everything in our ability, using all our technology or all our skills, to leverage it. And again, technology is neither good nor bad. So in no way have I, or are we saying that inherently technology is going to save us. We're going to have to save ourselves. But with that being said, we're going to use all the tools and technology. We're going to use the internet. We're going to use cell phones. We're going to use WhatsApp. We're going to use social media, whatever it takes, what tools that we have, that's the tools we're going to use to make sure our people are treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve. And we want to make sure that we empower as many people in a way that's allows them to be the most effective. And creating a platform like I Love Black People does that. It actually gives a space where people who, again, have a common interest. When I travel all over the world, I've been over 60 countries and met people in all types of situations. I always try to look for people with common interests. We might be from different background. I may not know what tribe I'm from. You may speak 8 languages. I barely speak English, but I try to meet people with common interests. And in those places, everyone is trying to get back home and have a good meal and a nice cold or warm drink and maybe watch some football or soccer, depending on where y'all are from. And we think that that's something that, by creating a safe space like this, allows to attract people like that, of that common interest. And again, I want us, in some future episodes, we're going to speak more on xenophobia, but I definitely want to touch on that. I think sometimes we don't think about it in the United States of America, that people, the treatment of people abroad, and sometimes folks, because of the U.S. passport, feel like they have a certain level of privilege. Well, the truth is you do, because of the foreign policy and because of the things that the United States has done to many countries. There's a level of supremacy with that passport, and it comes at the expense of literally billions of people on the planet. So we need to be clear that we shouldn't look at this as some level of entitlement. We should look at this as an obligation to make it a better, a more fair world. And there's people suffering, and their suffering has nothing to do with their abilities. It's because of systems that are in place that put one country over in another based on nothing. Like, again, when I travel to other countries, I'm not asked the same question. When I try to have some of my employees, we have employees in Rwanda, Kenya, Zimbabwe, South Africa, just getting them a visa. They have to bring all these supporting documents and explain all these things. But when you have a U.S. passport, you just show up. And I tell people, it's kind of odd. The United States as a country has been responsible for killing thousands of people in the last 50 years. If any country somebody would be leery of, a passport would be from the United States. Like, that's a lot of violence going on there. We don't need any trouble. But unfortunately, it's not based on any type of meritocracy or any type of merit. It's based on a system that has been used for now hundreds of years to exploit the masses of the people for the benefit of few. And if you're a part of that few, you have an obligation to change it. And if you're a part of the masses, you have an obligation to change it. So I think so much of what we do is based on our backgrounds and experiences, but we need to use that background experiences, these experiences, to do the best we can to help as many as we can. And with I Love Black People, just as one way. This is not the only way. There's so many other ways to be helpful in this world. Bands, if you're focusing on Black folks, sometimes again, they say they want to see more diversity, but talking directly to Black people can sometimes cause a little shadow banding and not getting access. So always you can check us out, like I said, directly with our info at iloveblackpeople.com. And also you can call our office. We have an office in Harare, Zimbabwe. We have an office in Washington, D.C. Our Washington, D.C. office is 202-558-5143. 202-558-5143. So you got any questions, or we got a global green book we just came out with. There's quite a few things that Anana Akua and Dr. Tyreen Wright with our Saturday calls. Come check us out on that on Zoom. So there's so much that we're doing. We want to make sure that you're a part of. Make sure if you get a chance, join us on any of these activities, on any of these platforms. We also have a WhatsApp group. So definitely, even if it's just a small thing you can do, make sure you do your part. And as I always say in all our shows, I am because we are. I wouldn't be me without you. So thank you so much. God bless.
This is I Love Black People Radio on HUR Voices, Sirius XM Channel 141. I Love Black People is more than a radio show. I Love Black People is a call from our ancestors to protect us from racial profiling all across the world. Go to iloveblackpeople.com and become a member today. Membership empowers you to live fearlessly and protect Black people globally from racism and xenophobia. Join us today and become a member of our global network with an online global green book with Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses to protect you and your community. Membership is free, and with you, we will become 10 million strong worldwide. I am because we are. Special thanks to Aflac for supporting I Love Black People Radio.